So again, I'm flying here, but you know, and we don't always do marketing well. I'll be the first to say, and if we had more time, we'd share some of the things we don't do so well. But it's one thing to do marketing well, but I think we also have a responsibility, but also an opportunity to do things good. And so what I want to do is talk a little bit about what marketing good is all about. It's part of our mission. This is the only sort of General Mills corporate slide that I have. But our mission is really about nourishing lives, helping people get healthier, easier, richer are the three things we do. Health is sort of job one. Health, you know, I think one of the challenges that I have in my job is to say, how do you actually make it inspiring? Because, you know, when you talk about health, health is a lot of times the things that you should do or you ought to do. But how do you actually make it fun? How do you make it engaging? And so a couple examples that I have here. One is with the launch of Whole Grain, where we actually tapped into part of the heritage of the company. General Mills has long been a sort of whole grain driven company with a lot of the news that we've had with our cereals. We know that the cereal category, and I promise this won't be a cereal category review, but the one thing that drives many categories is health news, and cereal is certainly one of those. If you go back to the 60s, fortification, the natural food craze, the oat bran craze, and we were just kind of coming out of the Atkins craze, which, you know, when you work for a company that sells carbs, that's not so good. But people finally realized that, you know, this is more fad than trend, and people were really were looking for better scientific-based information. And at the same time, we knew we had a golden opportunity to basically reclaim the market, reassert ourselves as the leader, and really get people's attention about the importance of eating whole grains again. The new dietary guidelines were set to be released in 2005. And a key insight specifically about whole grains, basically, and I won't go through all the words just in the interest of time, but you know, basically people that ate brown bread figured, like, I'm checking the box. Anything brown, that must mean it's whole grain. And that's not always the case. And the reality was that 9 out of 10 Americans thought they were getting enough whole grains in their diets. Actually, only 1 out of 10 were getting the recommended amount. So we knew that we had an opportunity, and again, simple insight, simple promise. How do you make things simple? How do you make things like health opt out versus forcing people to opt in? And we made a decision, big decision, had to reformulate a ton of our products to make all of our cereals with whole grain. And we had to make it simple so that people didn't have to say, okay, I gotta hunt now for which one isn't, all means all. We had to go all the way. And so I talked about sort of the news aperture. And so one of the things that we did when we launched it creatively is we had to really take what we did and make it actually seem newsworthy. And so here's the launch ad that we ran behind the launch of our whole grain news. Oops.
It's time to wake up to what you've been missing.
9 out of 10. That's 90% of the population.
Yeah, I'm the way.
Time to discover that whole grain may help manage weight
Help me manage my weight. I need that.
and is good for the heart.
My heart could use some help.
Welcome to the first day of your whole grain life. Now every General Mills cereal is made with whole grain.
Why not Cheerios?
Lucky Charms.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Makes me feel good that she's eating it.
Whole grain, G, General Mills. Easy.
Guaranteed from General Mills. Welcome to the first day of your whole grain life.
Key news aperture doesn't come around very often, and so another tidbit for you is look for those key opportunities when you know people are going to be paying attention, when you have a real key aperture to deliver some key news. As a quick follow-up to this, the new pyramid, you could say what you want about the new pyramid, but the new pyramid did launch about 3-4 months after that. And one of the things that you'll often hear between industry and government is this sort of antagonistic relationship. We're hearing obviously a lot of things about regulation right now, but there are actually some instances where we can work really effectively with government. And so we actually had these packages on the press. They wouldn't actually give us the pyramid beforehand, even though I was sitting on 50 million boxes of Yellow Wax Cheerios. This is like lakefront property, right? It's like, help me, help you. But we got with Pyramid when everyone else did, and we went to press and quickly turned around 50 million boxes of Yellow Box Cheerios. Probably the single biggest public education campaign around the importance of whole grain and the launch of the new Pyramid. So good example for, again, taking advantage of that opportunity. That one change added about 30 million servings of whole grain to Americans' diets every year. And now General Mills supplies over 10% of the whole grain in Americans' diets just because of that change. So you can do well, you can do good. It was clearly good for business, but also was a way to help people eat healthier and start their day out right. Sanjay talked about work that we're doing in the area of hunger. And this is a program that we started a couple years ago, really run this key paradox, I would say, that we have in America, that only in America, can you think of 2/3 of the population being overweight or obese. And yet, and you guys, I'm sure, have read the headlines, and yet 1 in 6 Americans will go to bed hungry. How can that be? How can we, on one hand, we got all these people who are overweight, obese, and yet people go to bed hungry. And it's actually, it's a difficult answer. There's a lot of things that are sort of embedded in that, but the insight we use to come up with a promise to the consumer: for every pound of weight America loses, General Mills will deliver a pound of groceries to food banks. And this is a program that we created, we call it the Pound for Pound Challenge. We had no money to talk about this. Everything that I do, my first brand dollar, General Mills' first brand dollar, always goes to supporting our brands and building our brands. And so we give millions of dollars, product donations to hunger. We've been involved in the hunger cause for 30 years, but we had no marketing dollars to take this out of the back room, the warehouse, and actually bring it to the living room. And so we actually needed help. And so we went out and we talked to The Biggest Loser. And we said, we have an idea, we're gonna need your help. We need you guys to carry this message for us. We need you to help drive awareness of this really important issue. And we will be your partner, along with Feeding America, with whom we've had this long-standing relationship. So what I'm gonna play now is a quick video which really launched this program.
This season, The Biggest Loser is not only challenging these 11 incredible couples to change their lives, but we are also challenging you to make a real difference in your community. I am here at the Los Angeles Food Bank, one of the largest food banks in America. The Biggest Loser has teamed up with Feeding America to launch our biggest challenge ever, the Pound for Pound Challenge. For every pound you lose, we will donate a pound of groceries to help feed families across America. A staggering 1 in 8 Americans are currently receiving food support, and it is a growing problem. By signing up, you will not only be making a pledge to get healthy for yourself, but you will also be providing food and, more importantly, hope for others. To inspire you, we are kicking things off by donating over 14,000 pounds of food, the total weight lost on The Biggest Loser to date. So start the new year off right. Sign up at www.biggestloser.com, pledge, and help feed America.
All right, so you might be wondering, they didn't say General Mills in the spot, and you're absolutely right. We did that because we felt like it would have undermined the credibility of the program in terms of getting people involved. I can tell you that we've gotten value out of this, value with the partner, value with the program, both in terms of things like that integration that you saw for Real Play Frozen Smoothie, and also with a lot of our trade customers and merchandising and things like that. So there's a lot of different ways that we glean value out of that. I think the most important thing is that we've run this program for 2 seasons now. We're getting ready to kick this off next month for our third go-around here, starting in January. This program alone has delivered over 9 million pounds of groceries to food banks for families who need it. So again, really can make a difference when we work together and we think about ways to innovate and to solve problems. Sanjay talked about education. Again, I'm going to move quickly here, but this was a program actually started in a school in California about 12 years ago. One school started clipping box tops, 10 cents a box top. Fast forward 12 years later, this program is a massive program, and box top by box top program really addresses a key need out there. We all know that schools, every school, specifically public schools, but every school is underfunded. We know that. We know the teachers are dipping into their own pockets to buy school supplies and things for their classrooms. And I don't know what you guys are all going to pursue when you graduate from Anderson, but I'm going to just guess, I'm going to put a bet out there that you'll probably all make more than teachers. But they're doing it because of their love for teaching, their love for their classroom, their love for students. But programs like this help close the gap. This year alone, we'll cut a check for about $50 million to education. So just, you think about these box tops, you put, and boy, does that really add up? Actually, it does really add up to the tune of about $50 million. So again, small things, small ways, driving consumer engagement, marketing well, marketing good. And then, I think this is my last one, Yoplait. That's another brand I had a chance to work on. Sanjay mentioned that. A great program. I take no credit for starting this relationship that we have with Susan G. Komen Foundation. We've been working with them now for about 15 years. We created a program called Save Lids to Save Lives. Really, really successful in terms of having people take their lids, mail in their lids. It's a donation program for each lid. Really, really great. What the team did was something really, really bold. I'm going to show the video here in a second, but they realized that there's a whole new population of women that are growing up that are just sort of coming into the Yoplait franchise. For those of you who either have a family member or friend or somebody who's actually had breast cancer, we know it's a terrible disease. And early detection of breast cancer is something that's really, really, really important. And so we wanted to find a way to reach younger women with a message of the importance of getting screenings for breast cancer. So this is something that I think really broke through the clutter. We worked through Facebook and Twitter to really drive this with celebrities, to really get online and pledge. And on Facebook, they encountered this video here, which I'll show you in a second.
I pledge allegiance to my girls, to my Chi-Chis, to my Hooters, to my Tatas, to my Kazanas, and their normal state of being, and to tell my doctor about any changes I see or feel immediately, with specificity and tenderness for all. Help stop breast cancer from being the leading cause of cancer death in young women. Know your girls, lower your risk, take the pledge. Every pledge will donate 10 cents to breast cancer research. Join us at facebook.com/YouPlayPledge.
Could you guys hear that okay? Making light of a really, really important issue, actually, don't mean to. But again, think about ways to engage your target audience in specific ways. And I sort of glossed over this before. I know there's a lot of fascination with social media, things like Facebook. And actually, Sanjay was nice, he didn't say this, but when I spoke on the marketing panel at the alumni weekend, there was all kinds of, we all sort of had our opportunities to speak. And it was, there were 4 of us up there. And then they had the Q&A session, and not surprisingly, the Facebook guy got all the questions. So, and a lot of them were sort of technical, like, tell me why this doesn't work this way. And we sort of said, well, we can take that offline. Okay. Again, the technology, social media is not the strategy. Okay, consumer engagement is the strategy. Social media, Facebook, things like that, they are incredible vehicles, and we're continuing to test and learn how we can get better with them, but it is not the strategy. Engagement is the strategy. Okay, lastly, continuing work that we're doing, we launched a program called Join My Village. Really, really neat thing that we launched with small businesses in Africa, really exporting great technical grain technology and milling capabilities that we have to really help small businesses become sustainable there, which really continues to help nourish and feed the community there. So it's really the whole, not just send fish, but help teach people how to fish. It's really been a successful